Over the past several days, I've immersed myself in rumors, archived records, and long-forgotten threads, assembling a narrative that appears to have been concealed in plain sight for decades. Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old matriarch, whose abrupt disappearance from her Tucson residence has captivated national attention, was not solely the devoted mother and grandmother the public believed her to be. There was another dimension to her life entirely. For more than 3 decades, Nancy maintained a facade so flawless that even her immediate family, including her well-known daughter Savannah Guthrie, never glimpsed the deeper truth beneath it. Yet, when an enigmatic package arrived at the Guthrie family home just days after she vanished, everything began to unravel, exposing a hidden existence that simultaneously clarifies and complicates the mystery of her disappearance. Nancy had long been regarded as the steady anchor of her family. After her husband, Charles, died from a heart attack in 1989, leaving her widowed at 47 with 3 teenagers in Tucson, Arizona, she transformed into a symbol of unwavering resilience. Neighbors and friends recall her as the woman who never voiced complaint, who converted her modest ranch-style house in the Catalina foothills into a sanctuary of order and warmth against the desert's stark landscape. She worked part-time as a bookkeeper for local businesses, volunteered faithfully at church, and instilled in her children, Savannah, Annie, and Cam, a blend of faith, humor, and relentless determination. Savannah frequently spoke on air about how her mother's strength shaped her outlook. She confronted challenges directly, without self-pity, guided by grace and resolve. Viewers embraced that portrayal, seeing Nancy as the quintessential steadfast mother behind the Today Show star. But even the strongest stone harbors fractures, and Nancy's ran deeper than anyone suspected. The first sign of those cracks emerged not through confession or confrontation, but through a plain, unmarked envelope delivered to Savannah's New York address on February 6, 2026, 5 days after Nancy disappeared. Inside lay a faded photograph of a much younger Nancy standing arm in arm with an unfamiliar man outside a small cafe in Santa Fe, New Mexico. On the back, in handwriting no one recognized, were the words, "She deserved more than secrets." Ask about Elena. That night, Savannah showed the image to her siblings during a tense video call. "Who is this man? And who's Elena?" Annie asked softly, her voice unsteady. Cam stared in stunned silence, shaking his head. None of them had answers. The photo was dated 1992, 3 years after their father's death. And it would become the gateway into Nancy's concealed world. What emerged was astonishing. Nancy had been sustaining a parallel life since the early 1990s. It began quietly in 1991 during a rare solo church retreat to Santa Fe. Still mourning her husband, she met Victor Ramirez, a 45-year-old artist and gallery owner from Mexico City who had relocated to New Mexico after escaping political unrest in the 1980s. Victor embodied a world vastly different from the structured life Nancy had known. Creative, expressive, spontaneous. He painted vibrant southwestern landscapes and fostered a community of artists, bonding over mutual grief. His wife had died in a car accident years earlier. Their friendship deepened into romance. Nancy returned to Tucson transformed, yet she concealed the change. Her children were still grieving their father. Savannah was just 21, beginning her studies at the University of Arizona. Nancy resumed her role as devoted mother. But privately, she began traveling to Santa Fe on occasional weekends, telling her children she was visiting church friends or attending retreats. In truth, she was nurturing a second existence alongside Victor. They never married. Nancy felt tethered to her Tucson life, yet she and Victor built something enduring. He affectionately called her Elena, inspired by a character from a Mexican novel they both admired, a name representing her concealed vitality. Under this alias, Nancy helped manage his gallery and even displayed her own amateur paintings, something she never dared in Tucson, where practicality outweighed artistic dreams. By 1995, as Savannah embarked on her journalism career, Nancy's double life intensified. She quietly opened a bank account in Santa Fe under the name Elena Ramirez, depositing modest sums from her bookkeeping earnings to support Victor's gallery during difficult periods. The contributions were small, a few $100s at a time, but symbolically significant. Victor introduced her to a vibrant community of creatives. For the first time, Nancy experienced late-night celebrations, philosophical debates, and a version of herself untethered from constant responsibility. Elena was expressive and bold. Everything Nancy believed she could not afford to be in Tucson. The secrecy weighed heavily, yet Nancy rationalized it. Her children were flourishing. Revealing Victor might disrupt their perception of her as the steadfast widow honoring their father's memory. So she compartmentalized. Weekends in Santa Fe became her refuge. She drove 8 hours each way, inventing explanations. She and Victor exchanged handwritten letters to avoid digital footprints, storing them in a locked box beneath her Tucson bed. As time passed, the separation between Nancy and Elena deepened. By 2000, with her children grown and Savannah moving to Washington, D.C. for NBC, Nancy spent longer stretches in Santa Fe. Under Elena's name, she organized exhibitions and managed finances. Locals knew her only as Victor's quiet partner. She altered her appearance slightly, avoided personal details, and maintained strict separation between identities. In the 2010s, however, health challenges surfaced. Chronic pain and heart issues required medication she sometimes forgot during trips. Victor urged her to reveal the truth to her family, but she resisted. "They see me as their rock," she insisted. "Rocks don't have secrets." She adopted burner phones and paid in cash to avoid detection. As Savannah's prominence at NBC grew in 2012, Nancy privately expressed fear to Victor. "What if someone digs into me?" Anxiety mounted. During the pandemic in 2020, travel halted, intensifying her internal conflict. Secret video calls replaced visits. Once travel resumed, trips shortened. On her final visit. January 15th, 2026. Victor noticed she seemed distracted and fearful, mentioning strange phone calls and a car that appeared to follow her in Tucson. Then, on January 31st, 2026, she vanished. The garage door closed at 9:50 p.m. By 2:30 a.m. Her pacemaker signal stopped. Blood droplets were found inside and outside her home. There were no signs of theft or forced entry. Initially, suspicion centered on Savannah's fame. But the envelope shifted the focus. Investigators traced the Santa Fe postmark to Victor Ramirez, now 80, who confirmed the decades-long relationship. He surrendered letters, photographs, and a painting Nancy created titled Hidden Horizons. Authorities now consider whether this concealed life played a role. Did someone uncover her alias? Was she blackmailed? A $5,000 wire transfer to Mexico in December 2025 raised new questions. The locked box beneath her bed, missing from the crime scene, may have contained incriminating letters. The family grappled with the revelation during an emotional February 8th video call. "Mom had another life," Annie whispered. Cam struggled to comprehend it. Savannah, maintaining composure, said, "She was still our mom." Yet privately, she questioned who her mother truly was. Victor's gallery in Santa Fe became central to the investigation. Records listed Elena Ramirez as a silent partner since 1995. Love letters described Tucson as Nancy's duty shift and Santa Fe as her breath of freedom. She had even obtained a New Mexico driver's license under the alias years earlier. The discovery devastated the siblings. Savannah reportedly whispered she had Art, a lover. A whole world. Annie clutched old photos. Cam expressed anger at the secrecy. Yet they recognized Nancy's pattern of hiding vulnerability. Public reaction erupted online, speculation ranging from jealousy to blackmail. The family released a brief statement on February 10th. They were processing new revelations but remained focused on bringing their mother home. Victor temporarily closed his gallery amid intense media scrutiny. Investigators now pursue leads connected to the Mexico wire transfer and interview associates in both Tucson and Santa Fe. Tips mention an unidentified man near Nancy's home weeks earlier. The absence of theft suggests a personal motive. Nancy's hidden life appears to have been a quiet rebellion against loneliness, a way to reclaim passion and identity beyond widowhood. For 30 years, she balanced duty and freedom, but the cost was mounting anxiety and isolation. Whether her disappearance is tied to jealousy, blackmail, or a desperate attempt to escape her own secrets remains uncertain. Her story is still unfolding.